Well, good morning, people. Isn't it just a wonderful thing when you know that the White House is actually doing its job? And this was shared to me by BygPhattyPlus. And yeah, believe it or not, hmm, I like these kind of stories because this is progress. Yes, the White House will not support SOPA or PIPA for that matter. And I'm gonna like this just because, yeah, just because. I don't need to add no comment. Y'all know what I'm gonna say. Anyway, let me do this for a quick second. Let me just do this so I won't mess up my reading. Yeah, apparently we learned this last night, but here it is. Saturday marked a major victory for opponents of the proposed anti-piracy legislation Stop Online Piracy Act and Protect IP Act, which would target foreign-based websites violating U.S. copyrights. Mm-hmm. House of Representative Bill SOPA and Senate counterpart PIPA are designed to punish websites that make available, for example, free movies and music without the permission of U.S. rights holders. Opponents of the bill, however, worry that the proposed laws would grant the Department of Justice too much regulatory power. Google chairman Eric Schmidt has called the measures draconian. Oh dear, draconian. Other internet giants who oppose the bill include Facebook, of course, eBay, naturally, Mozilla, Twitter, and Huffington Post parent company AOL. Yes, I am enjoying this. The White House on Saturday officially responded to two petitions, stop the E-Parasite Act and veto the SOPA bill and any other future bills that threaten to diminish the free flow of information, urging urging the president to reject SOPA and PIPA. Thank you, Obama. Really, thank you. You've done us a great service. The statement was drawn up by Victoria Espinian, Intellectual Property Enforcement Coordinator at Office of Management and Budget, Anish Chopra, U.S. Chief Technology Officer, and Howard Schmidt, Special Assistant to the President and Cybersecurity Coordinator for National Security Staff. They made it clear that the White House will not support legislation that disrupt the open standards of the internet. While we believe that online piracy by foreign websites is a serious problem that requires a serious legislative response, we will not support legislation that reduces freedom of expression, increases cybersecurity risk, or undermines the dynamic, innovative global internet. The statement read in part. The White House statement went on to say, however, that the Obama administration believes online piracy is a real problem and harms the American economy. Bullshit. And that 2012 should see the passage of narrower legislation that targets the source of foreign copyright infringement. This is not the end of the debate, though. I'm not going to read all this. You see what I was talking about. This is not the end of the debate. The White House statement emphasized moving forward, we will need to continue to work with Congress on a bipartisan basis on legislation that provides new tools needed in the global fight against piracy and counterfeiting, while vigorously defending an open internet based on the values of free expression, privacy, security, and innovation. For the most part, which I'm not going to read all that, my thoughts about this? That's right. That's what I feel. Because A, if you think about it, why break up a good thing? The internet is probably the best thing that ever helped America, and more than likely the world itself. Because we have the internet, a lot of things we couldn't do before is open to us. I mean, aside from most of YouTube being that of let's players, want to be actors and musicians and of the like, it pretty much is freedom of expression. We are expressing ourselves, and we have as much right as to keep that freedom of expression as is. I mean, I don't see the point in why you should mess with a good thing. I mean, I'm sorry, but it just doesn't make sense. Why mess up a good thing in which you don't really have to? I mean, I can see what Hollywood is trying to do. Basically, the MAAA and the RIAA, they all want that money. They all think it's about, oh no, you're using you're using material that is copyright based. Um, okay, if I had to go as far as write a letter and saying, please, could I use this kind of music for my videos? I promise I won't use it in a bad way. Yeah, think about that for a moment. I really have to say this. This is progress. This is progress that bullshit like this will not see the light of day. And pretty much we need to keep on track of this bill until it is dead, until we sink a sword in its gullet and make sure that it doesn't try anything to further hinder itself onto us who are using the internet for mainly our free purpose. I mean, it doesn't make sense. I mean, what they say here. Any effort to combat online piracy must guard against the risk of online censorship and or lawful activity. We must not inhibit innovation by our dynamic business, large or small. We must avoid creating new cyber security risk or disrupting the underlying architecture of the internet. That is why the administration calls on all sides to work together to pass sound legislation this year that provides prosecutors and, rights holders new legal tools to combat online piracy originating beyond U.S. borders. We can expect and encourage all private parties, including both content creators and internet platform providers, working together to adopt voluntary measures and best practices to reduce online piracy. Yeah, I can say this. Yes, well, online piracy is a problem. It's not that much of a problem. I mean, many many sites or many commercials rather that say that, for a small fee you can protect your identity and whatnot. Yes, identity theft is a problem, and being that it can also happen online, you know, mainly it can happen online. because if you blatantly just give out your information, then you are at risk of losing your identity. Now, let me tell you, many people, they have done so, and they don't realize how they done it. I had to share this because it happened because my computer was kind of it was rather under the knife per se, and it was still running. So the thing was this: a few weeks back, I got a call from a company, and if I mention this, I'm sorry, but I had to tell it to you as an example. Now, this company, they had they had so many things that I had to ask questions. I had to ask if they were legit, or of anything else. Are you that trustworthy? I mean, I said, are you going to do anything to my computer that is going to harm it in any way? And they told me, no, we're just going to operate it from our side. We're going to clean out everything that's slowing your computer down. And basically, it was there, I got the program out of it for monthly. Well, it's for a one-time thing. And what I did was, it was there for like 30 days, so it was like a trial. And after that, I decided to pay for the upgraded version, and it was only $25, and that was it. Just one day, just one time. That's all. Other than that, I just saved myself a whole lot of heartache. So what I did was, the first thing I did was I had to reactivate everything that had a password. That means my Crunchyroll, my Crunchyroll account, my YouTube account, my Google account, anything that I had that just had a password to it. I either had to log it in or basically upgrade the password. So once I did that, I was all right. My computer's running better than it was before. Its reaction time is not slow, but it's rather better. So with that, it's all good. That means I can record with better quality and everything else. Now, what does that mean about what I'm talking about? That's my identity. I, of course, am Pokey Izzy 7. And yes, sometimes I do show my face on camera. And I show it because, I'm as much real as anybody else on YouTube. But as far as me doing Let's Plays and whatnot, yeah, I still do Let's Plays. I also do the Tenkaichi files. I also do off the headset and everything else. But that's part of my identity. This right here, to say we have our right of expression still intact, that goes without saying that we're not going to let this bill pass. This is progress right here. When you see that the White House is not going to go through all this bullshit, that makes me want to clap. And it makes anybody else who is in support of this make you want to clap. I mean, for me, yes. For for what it's worth, I'm glad that the president is taking a stand against this utter nonsense, because really, it doesn't make sense in which if it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's how I see the internet. The internet is not broken. I mean, yeah, we have to be aware of our identity theft and all that. Just make sure we just change our passwords every so often, and we're okay. Other than that, there's no problem. I mean, I think the only thing that is coming out of this is basically it's all about money. And Hollywood wants that cash. I mean, when you really think about it, most of the problems these days is just often the fact that if there's money involved, it's going to be a problem. And really, you can't make this stuff up. I mean, sure, I'm a writer. I'd like to get paid, and I'd like to have myself get paid. But I'm not going to go as far as say, "Oh, no, you can't have this. You cannot do this. You cannot have that." No. No. Especially especially when most of us out there are artists by itself because video game is an art form. We are the artists actually making the game look better because of what we do. I mean, we're showing our know-how to the rest of those who actually make these requests to us, and that's what makes us Let's Players. We are the artists behind the games. We actually play the games. We actually go through every little nook and cranny, at least most of us. And when push comes to shove, we're going to stand by our beliefs and say, you know what, we're not going to take this bullshit, especially if for some reason, big deal, especially for some reason if some person has to show up and say, look, you cannot do this anymore. Screw that. So, on that note, I have to say this. SOPA is not going to pass. And we're going to do whatever we can to just say, you know what? We'll be forced to do this if they plan to push, we'll push back. So on that note, yeah. All I have to say to that, all I have to say to this article is, well done, Mr. President. Well done. Because you know why? Because I am Pookie87, and I really do approve of this message. Anyway, guys. I'm signing off, so Tenkai Muso! Sayonara.